How's it going, guys? I'm Buongiovanni, back here with another Thursday video for OnlineBookClub.org's official YouTube channel. Now today I'm doing something different. I'm doing a live show on Facebook, but I'm going to be editing the Facebook show to go onto YouTube. So the live show on Facebook is consisting of people asking me advice questions that revolve around reading and books, and I'm going to be answering them. So that's pretty much it. They asked me through Instagram. So thank you to all the people who submitted. Let's jump right into this. So the first question I get is from PK by C. So it's PKBYYC. The question that they ask is, how does someone get motivated to get back into reading? And this is something that I personally had to deal with when I was in college. So I feel like when I was in middle school, I loved reading. As I got to high school, I started, I guess, falling out of love with reading because in school, they required you to read certain things. It was never just kind of what you wanted to read. I remember kind of stopping reading after a while and like just kind of falling out of love with reading because everything was forced upon me. It wasn't anything that I kind of wanted to read on my own. Now my advice for you is to find something that you really enjoy, a topic that you're very familiar with. There's never people that don't like reading. There's just people who haven't found the right book yet. All I'm saying is find a book that you know that you're gonna be interested in. You might not like the book, you might not like the writing style, that's okay. But find a book and a topic you're gonna be interested in and read that book. Thank you for the question, picked by C, I appreciate it. Books in Glam asks, how to read more when you're busy with life. And this is something that I know and I'm very familiar with and I deal with a decent amount. For the last, I would say, year or so, I've worked pretty consistently and I mean, but what I mean by that is I've had a pretty busy life and work takes up a lot of my time. And I went from reading 50 books in 2015 to like 2 books in 2016. And I realized, okay, like I'm doing something wrong here. Like I have to make kind of like a conscious effort to figure this out and get back into reading because I loved it so much. What I ended up having to do was find reading that, and read on topics that I felt could help me every day. Because if I was reading something that was completely inconsistent when I was doing every day, I feel like it would kind of offset me and like I'd feel kind of weird because I'd be like going back and forth from things. So I'm like, okay, right now while I'm so busy and if I'm not on vacation or I'm working, I should take time to read books that kind of go hand in hand with what I'm doing every day. What I started doing was reading books, because I run my own social media marketing business, read books about business. And read books, not just like kind of like help business books. It was more along the lines of like autobiographies on business and books that kind of dealt with business, but not even directly, sometimes kind of went a little bit deeper. So if you're really busy with life and you're really busy with not finding time to read, I'd recommend making time to read, but also having it help you in everyday life. Because then I feel like you don't have that weird feeling of like, oh, am I doing something wrong? Should I be working? Should I be doing this? That's at least how it feels for me. So books and them, thanks for the question. That's my advice for you. This is actually a really good question, something I kind of wanted to touch up on. And I'm happy that somebody asked this. So they said, 24 Yes, he said, if you're not a big fan of reading, but love it for the stories, what are some alternatives to like it more? Some ways or alternatives to like reading more or get into reading, even if it's not specifically just picking up a book and reading because you're not a huge fan of that. There are a ton of other ways to read. What I would recommend is audiobooks. Look, there's a ton of people who have like ADHD and can't focus on just picking up a book and reading. Totally fine. That makes complete sense. That happens. And a lot of people like have this weird like thing where they're like, oh, audiobooks aren't the real thing. Audiobooks are the real thing, trust me. So what I'd recommend is taking an audiobook, going to Audible, there's free trials, finding free audiobooks online. I feel like on iTunes there's probably also a ton of like free ebooks and audiobooks. The library has a lot of free audiobooks. Get some free audiobooks and listen. One, they're real books. You're literally going through the same process of reading, except someone's reading to you, you're still taking all the knowledge in. And it helps because you don't have to focus on the words, you don't have to focus on what you're reading. And I know that might be kind of distracting for some people and they might lose focus on that. All you're doing is listening to the story and you're still taking everything you would be if you're reading one of these books behind me. So audiobooks, that's another way to get into reading if you like the stories but don't necessarily like picking up a book and reading. So thanks for the question, 24 Yessie. So if you have a bookish advice question for me to answer in the next video, all you have to do is go down below, comment, and I will try to get to it for the next video. Please like our Facebook page, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and I will see you next